Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmed Nawaz with the latest roundup of sports tonight. Let's take a look at what we're discussing and what's on the show that we will be talking about. We'll start off with the Pakistan Super League and its 7th edition that is underway at the Gaddafi Stadium in Lahore, now with a 100% capacity. Last night, a thriller of the game went to the last over. What a match it was. It was Multan Sultans who managed to beat Karachi Kings at the end by a margin of just 7 wickets. Of course, it's a huge margin, but at the same time went to the last over. It's an 8th consecutive defeat for Karachi Kings, but a lot of credit goes to the way Khushdil Shah handled that 19th over, the way Riley Rousseau managed to finish it off with a beautiful 6 to mid-wicket region, I think speaks volumes. So Multan qualified on the points table, played 8, won 7, 14 points for them. Karachi Kings at the bottom of the table. I think they need to lose 2 more to keep the record alive. That's what I want them to do, not just win any game. Now, please don't spoil my record, because I think I'm going to be betting now that they're going to lose 10 out of 10. But nonetheless, a lot of positives for both the teams, which they should be appreciative about. I think it was not a good sign where we saw the aggression from outside the field, in the field, everything happening, frustration was visibly there. So a lot of things that we will be talking about in PSL. Then of course tonight's match as well, where Islamabad United are taking on Peshawar Zelmi, 7:30 p.m. live on PTV Sports HD in high definition. Then we'll be moving on to our next segment, which is a special on Sports Extra tonight, where we'll be talking about matters of the Pakistan Football Federation, of the Normalization Committee as well, and also FIFA has been involved as well. We had a show, a very special show with Harun Malik, who was the chairman of the national committee that was sanctioned by FIFA to oversee this entire process with transparency and ensure free and fair impartial elections and everything that was in between. So we talked about this entire scenario with Harun Malik, who was the head of that normalization committee. But the Pakistan Football Federation, its headquarters will be given to the normalization committee. It will get possession of the football house very soon and take control of all PFF offices in the country. This has been highlighted by the Minister for Interprovincial Coordination, Dr. Fahmida Mirza, who truly deserves a lot of applaud the way she has handled this on the front lines. That's the lineup that we've got for tonight. Starting our show off with the Pakistan Super League. In studios, we've been joined by cricket commentator, cricket expert K. Asif Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm very good. You look very nice.
Thank you very
shining,
much.
absolutely.
Thank you.
But for teams who have been shining and some teams who have not shined at all, we've got a report on that. Let's take a look and then come back.
Multan Sultans beat Karachi Kings by 7 wickets courtesy Mohammad Rizwan's stellar 74 knock in match number 23 of the Pakistan Super League 7th edition at Lahore's Gaddafi Stadium. After Kings skipper Babar Azam decided to bat first, Karachi Kings posted 174 runs for the loss of 6 wickets in 20 overs. Babar got out with just 2 runs to a brilliant delivery from left-arm pacer Ruman Rais. Qasim Akram and Rohail Nazir were removed when Karachi had scored 118. After that, Imad and Muhammad Nabi forged a crucial 48 as Nabi got out while playing a shot against Dahani.
Again too short. And he does find the boundary. Nowhere. Up and over extra cover. Possibly one.
While chasing 175 runs, Multan was provided a 100-run opening stand in 14.2 overs by Shan Masood and Mohammad Rizwan, whereas Tim David failed to score big while pressure mounted for Multan. After that, it was Khushdil Shah who stole the limelight and showed his power-hitting skills at a crucial juncture by hitting 2 sixes and 1 4 against Chris Jordan in the second last over to bring his team closer. In the last over bowled by Umaid Asif, they needed 9 runs and Rousseau smashed a huge 6 to seal the deal in 19.3 overs. With this, Multan Sultans hand Karachi Kings their 8th consecutive defeats.
There you have it. All you need to know about Karachi Kings and Multan Sultans. We expected a one-sided affair, but it was a good competition. So teams are trying to keep the crowd excited. Obviously, Karachi has done nothing to keep the crowd excited. They've obviously let a lot of people down. But obviously, there is hope that next season they would probably bounce once again and they have been champions, so you never know. Discussing this further, K. Asif, it was a night for Multan Sultans, we knew that, but the pitch was a bit slow, so you got to give them credit that they managed it beautifully, taking wickets in hand in the last over.
All credit goes to Mohammad Rizwan. Once again, the way he played, never hit any 6, 8 boundaries, and everyone was thinking that what's going on, he's just concentrating on the singles. But look at his fitness. He was trying to convert singles into 2s and 2s into 3s, and the way Shan Masood supported him. And one time it was, the require and asking rate was around 12. But he knows his abilities, and he knows his team, that the Tim David is there, really Rosso is there, Khushdil Shah is there. All of them are good and big hitters. And this is what happened in the last. And the hot potato is that what's happening with Babar Azam and Wasim Akram. And Wasim Akram was standing right after...
Wasim tweeted, he said he was asking him, what are you having for dinner tonight?
No, but what I have heard that Wasim was asking him what the bowlers are doing.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
You're the captain, I'm the bowler. You give me the ball, okay, I'm a ball the last over, you know what to do, save me those runs. I failed to deliver Yorkers, failed to deliver good deliveries, I go wayward, outside off stump, leg stump, no ball, wides and get hit for the 6. Now my coach, should he come to you and say, why isn't your bowler bowling a Yorker, or should he talk to me and tell me, why couldn't you bowl Yorkers? Whose fault was it?
And I would ask him that, Wasim, what happened when the picks were going on? You have picked Chris Jordan, you have picked Umaid Asif, and 50 runs in 4 overs, Chris Jordan, and same with the Umaid Asif, around 44 in 4 overs.
It feels like that Karachi Kings has lost 8 out of 8 games, and I should go to Javed Afridi and ask him why Karachi is not winning. It was the same case.
Well, look, it's pretty much funny, and you are showing aggression in front of cameras. The whole world is watching you, and you are asking, and you're going, for the conversation to the captain, and captain standing close to the ropes, and Wasim Akram is telling them and asking them why they're not bowling Yorkers. Dear, if I'm a cricket expert, I had never played even domestic cricket. Though I played for the university club, and though I do understand that you require good bowlers in the death overs who could bowl good Yorkers.
Good Yorkers.
So when Lahore Qalandars were picking Zaman Khan, where were you? This is the question.
You had an equal opportunity.
Yes. So it means the way I was telling on the other night that the problem is with the organization, with the management of Karachi Kings. Because Babar Azam was helpless when a player like Chris Jordan giving 50 runs. What Babar Azam could do there? Or Umaid Asif, you'd have to learn from the youngsters. What Naseem Shah has done, took 4 wickets. What he was trying to do, the slow Yorkers, slow bouncer deliveries, slow short pitch deliveries, and banqueting gone out on the slow deliveries.
Asif, you watched some of these players very closely in the domestic structure and in Pakistan's first-class cricket as well. I have been a huge fan of Umaid Asif, I'll be very honest, in previous seasons. But you need to know when your time is done. I mean, at the same places, Karachi could have had so many youngsters to play for them.
Yes, that's right. Really important point. And once again, Ahmed, you're pointing a really important thing which you understand, I understand, a layman can understand, but Wasim Akram is not understanding. I don't know why. And last night when I was watching this, to be very honest, I was sitting with my mom and I was laughing. What's going on? What you are doing, dear?
Babar's father had to give a statement. It became so personal to all of them.
Yes, that's right. I mean, look, if you are losing, and you should sit together after the match, you should have team meeting, you should ask them what's going on. These are your mistakes. These are the things where you are lacking. And if you're not working on them, and you're not telling in the team meeting, when you're telling in the ground in front of cameras, so I must say it was a good acting. Sorry.
Well, we know where the Oscar goes then. But K. Asif, that negativity would remain there. I mean, if I want to move on to a positive side, I keep on saying Multan is not as old as other 5 franchises. They're still a side that was new to the PSL in a couple of seasons before. How remarkable have they been in their picks, their management, the way they handle their players, and the confidence for Rizwan to be captain, and then his confidence into the players?
Well, when I was watching Blessing Madrabani against Pakistan and Zimbabwe, and the way he was bowling, and they won T20 as well. Some of the managers from PSL of different teams, they have approached to Blessing Madrabani. This is called your homework. I have watched one video on Twitter today. Lebashina is trying to play spin ball, and you have watched that. This is called your mindset. This is called your training. So it means that you were not well prepared for the PSL, and you thought that the big names are there and the coach is legend, so everything would be fine. No, dear, it's not. If you're not doing your proper homework and you're not coming up with your strengths.
Asif, I'll interrupt you. We'll go towards a short break, but stay tuned because we'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Extra. Time now to discuss tonight's encounter because it's a big one. It's Islamabad United versus Peshawar Zelmi. Both are on 8 points on the points table. It's going to be live 7:30 p.m. on PTV Sports HD in high definition. And of course, PTV World will keep updating you with the scores and everything you need to know about the game. Asif, what does the analysis say about tonight's game?
Well, it's a straightforward thing, and throughout the tournament, throughout the league, I'm supporting Islamabad United because of their homework, because of their legwork. Each and everything is perfect. Their management is working good. Players are performing well. On the other side, Peshawar Zelmi, though they played a couple of games, good last games, but still they're struggling. So I'll go with Islamabad United.
Well, he's going with Islamabad United. Asif, thank you so much for joining us. On that note, let's take a look at our segment recap. We of course discussed the fact that Pakistan Super League 7th edition is giving us some crucial encounters, very nail-biting contests as well, and we had Karachi Kings beaten yet again for the 8th consecutive time by Multan Sultans, who did it in the last over in style with a 6 by Riley Rousseau. Khosdil Shah making 19 runs of the penultimate over by Chris Jordan, and of course we discussed about tonight's fixture between Peshawar and Islamabad. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Extra. Time now for a very special segment where we'll be talking about the Normalization Committee, its affairs regarding the Pakistan Football Federation, what FIFA had to say. We gave you an exclusive show a couple of days back with the chairman of the Normalization Committee, Harun Malik, learnt about all aspects, discuss it even further tonight. In studios joining me first of all is my co-host, our sports expert, football expert and football youth coach as well, Sabil Hazir. Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Walaikum salam, Ahmed, I'm doing well.
Good to have you on the show. And we've also been joined by somebody who's got more than 12 years of experience as a consultant when you talk about sports management, including that with Leisure Leagues and obviously many other platforms as well. He's also been responsible for football.com, which has brought us some exciting content as well. These days he's in the UK pursuing his masters in sports management, and for me I can easily say that one of the first jobs I ever did in my career, he was my boss. So he's joining us, Mr. Shahrukh Suhail, all the way from UK. Shahrukh, assalamu alaikum, welcome to Sports Extra.
Walaikum salam, Ahmed. Thank you for the invitation. It's great to be here and of course talking about something that's very close to my heart, Pakistani football.
Well, I can easily say former boss, still a boss. But boss, what would you like to tell us first of all about the entire saga? I know last year was very disappointing for us, right? But if we consider the way things have moved, even on a government level where we wanted a bit of action, how do you see the scenario currently as it progresses?
So the scenario is, as a lot of people have heard and have read, it's very complicated, unfortunately. Even for a country like Pakistan, I think we well played it out in terms of its complexity. It's been going on for the last 7 years, and last year it went really out of control. So as of today, Pakistan is only one of 2 countries in the world that are banned by FIFA. Of course, we've seen some very positive steps with the government, and I think for football, government has played a very positive role in understanding the nuances of the situation. And I say this because it's a multi-layered problem, and if the government had not really understood, heard all the stakeholders out and taken this decision to hand over the PFF house back to the Normalization Committee, which are its, technically speaking, legal custodians, and taking it from the Ashfaq Shah group, which had a hostile takeover last year. So I think it's a step in the right direction. As Haroon was on your show last week, I believe, and it's excellent that you guys are talking about something like this because it does not get a lot of media attention. But as Haroon also very importantly mentioned, it's a step in the right direction. There are a couple of other things that need to be solved. There are some digital assets that need to be handed over. There's also a issue with the bank accounts. It was in litigation, so there's a very substantial amount of money on in those PFF accounts. Those also need to be handed back to the normalization committee. And itself right now, I believe it's a issue, or it's something that's been deliberated by the Punjab government to hand over the house. There's also reports being said that because of the PSL, because it's part of that area complex where the security issue is high. So the PFF house is very near to the Punjab Stadium and the Gaddafi Stadium as well. So I believe there's a security concern at the moment. So it's expected that in the next couple of weeks, once the PSL is also over, it should be handed back to the normalization committee.
Right. Hopefully, that is, of course, the latest development. But Sabeel, just to have a background, I know we've discussed about this. We want to move towards the positivity, but for people who want to know this, nowhere in the world would you probably see something happening to a sport loved by billions, including young kids, where they would go through those visuals. A tournament in progress would be cancelled, and people breaking stuff, barging in, like it's some kind of riot going on.
Yeah, the way it's unfolded is another. We already as a country have too many sporting stigmas on us, some rightfully so, some unrightfully so, but at the end of the day, you have to live with those, right? Because that's what happens here. So it's a real shame the way it's been. Like Shah Rukh has said, it's a very complicated matter, and I don't want to oversimplify it, but essentially, it's been groups within Pakistan that have caused issues, and FIFA has banned us as a result. And who's suffering? Your players, your fans, and football in this country, right? The next generation, this generation, I've said this before on the show, this generation, when we're talking about global soccer ventures and stuff, I said we're not going to get a whole lot out of this generation of players. Like, I hope they get the opportunities to play and make money, but we need to get this sorted out. Like, he's talking about getting, Shah Rukh has spoken about getting the headquarters back, right? We'll get that back. Then he's talking about more complicated matters, money trails, bank accounts, things like that. And then holding elections, getting a body elected, not having interference from outside bodies, having the ban lifted from Pakistan. Long way to go, but for the first time in a long time, we have a positive step, and now it seems like we have a pathway back to international football.
Definitely. A pathway is definitely what's needed, and we've got to invest in the future, what we always talk about. But Shah Rukh, it's about developing a system that can self-sustain itself with transparency as well for the people to have trust in that system. More than being an issue of one certain group against the other, or two groups battling out for something that is not even recognized by FIFA because you were banned, it becomes more of an issue where the integrity of the game in Pakistan and its future becomes at stake.
100%. Sports is an ethical and a very core part of what you have as integrity. But this is not a Pakistani football problem. This is a Pakistani problem. Where do you see integrity in the country? Where do you see people taking the higher moral stance? All of these stakeholders, and by all I literally mean all of them, there was infighting, there was the physical takeover. If one single person or all of these stakeholders who claim that they're fighting for the betterment of football, could they just not have put their differences aside and made sure that at the end of the day they could have their differences, but Pakistan didn't get banned as a result of that? So I think no one truly cares about Pakistani football in these stakeholder circles, because if they did, we would not be in this position in the first place.
But Shah Rukh, it becomes a dilemma that, if there is only a recognized lot that is going to appear again and again and again in that structure of football, and there is no talk about bringing new talented youth probably who can take it over, run affairs, people who have done their education in particularly sports management or in various domains of football throughout the world, people who are professionals for the job, then it's disappointing to say that the things would still remain the same even after elections.
I think this is going to be a very interesting situation, because for the first time, elections are going to be held in a different way. First of all, if you look at the PFF Congress, a substantial part of those votes come from the Pakistan Premier League departmental teams, right? Now, the government has already give a winding up order to all of the departments to wind up their sports teams. So there is going to be that gap that needs to be filled. Now, this is more of a legal question and a more constitutional question, how those gaps are filled. One suggestion is that this is a very good opportunity to finally work on the Pakistan Premier League, which is a top flight league in Pakistan. And this is the one that has AFC, FIFA recognition, and subsequently plays in Asian competitions. If you take out the departments and you keep in the 3 4 clubs that are there at the moment, but the remaining teams you are able to privatize and bring in private ownership of the teams. I'm not talking about a franchise league, I'm talking about bringing direct private owners to own different teams, and those people have the voting rights for the PFF president alongside the other members of Congress. So once you have that, when you have private stakeholders involved who are going to be spending money into this, then they're obviously going to be very careful about the people that they elect. And once you have one genuine person working as the PFF president, believe me, it's not that difficult to fix or develop Pakistani football. The PFF president is one person, but the PFF house or the PFF organization would ultimately be a 25, 30 individual team. It is going to be a large organization because 2, 3 people cannot fix it. You need a very large pool, and as you very fairly mentioned, honestly speaking, it's going to be a hiring crisis. You don't know who you're going to hire because you don't have enough qualified management people to fill positions. It's very realistically very difficult to fill the PFF house because the people that have been involved in the past or the talent pool that you choose from is very, very narrow when it comes to management.
True, Sabeel, that drought of having professionals would remain there. But like Shah Rukh has mentioned, the model of bringing in a league, I mean, if you talk about talent, we've seen videos from every nook and corner of how people love football in this country, even all the way to Balochistan and then coming here to Punjab or Central Punjab or South Punjab. So there is stuff there. Grassroots levels, yes, a bit of infrastructure exists. It's all about connecting these dots and probably having, for the first time ever in Pakistan, a professional approach.
So the lack of expertise is the point I want to pick up on. You have no expertise in Pakistan when it comes to football. You need to change so much, and you need to connect people from abroad, mainly for the time being. Look, long term, yes, you should have people from here going and doing lots of different courses and badges and getting expertise and working with the right people. Right now, you need to bring in people who have the expertise, and in your country, there's not a whole variety of people with experience who can do that, right? So you're going to have to look abroad, in my opinion, for that. The other thing, I'll disagree with one thing about Shah Rukh. I think it's very complicated fixing Pakistani football for the reason that I think the problems at the top, we all agree with them, right? Like with the management side and all of that. I think there's a problem here at the bottom. I think people don't want to move. You know, when he talks about things being a Pakistani problem, we're not quick to change.
They've got monopolies at the grassroots level.
Yeah, exactly. We're so slow to change. No coach here is going to admit that they've been doing things the wrong way. The people who were doing things 40 years ago want it to be done the same way for the next 40 years. And that is the truth, right? It works in every sport. We're lucky that in cricket we have very capable people who do well, right? So the way we are doing things is working.
It's different, yeah.
Yeah, but football's not like that. We have been doing things wrong forever, and we will continue to do them forever unless, and the change is very slow and very hard because you have to change people's mentality. So I think that will take a lot more work. One thing which Shah Rukh can elaborate on more, which is that something that I'm very interested to hear his thoughts on are.
Yeah, go ahead.
If Shah Rukh, you could tell us, like, obviously the stuff we're talking about is long term. Let's just assume we get the ban lifted in time, everything goes according to plan as we imagine the plan will be. What do you think the next steps for Pakistani football are in terms of, is there qualifiers for the World Cup? Is it like getting enough matches played to qualify for regional tournaments? What do you think, like in terms of actual playing, is going to happen next?
For sure. Just before I move on to this, I'll just jump back to and I'll elaborate on why I said that. One, developing football, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Everything has been done throughout the world, so you don't need to really figure out ke humne kya karna hai, kya nahi karna. You can just localize what's happening around the world and do it. Secondly, football and the PFF is the second most financially stable or the highest revenue earning body in Pakistan after cricket, courtesy of what we get through FIFA funding. So technical expertise, funding, not a problem. You have significant commercial value that's never ever been tapped into. The reason why I say that it's easy, if you have one right person on the top, then for Pakistani football, you can take that top-down approach into fixing a lot of things. And of course, that's a very long discussion how you go about it, but it's not as difficult as what people claim it to be. And it becomes easy to affect that change once you're doing it from the top. Coming back to what's happening this year. So this is a very interesting question. courtesy of this year, the World Cup is going to happen this year, and the qualifiers were already going on. But next year in 2023, we are going to have the World Cup qualification for USA 2026 starting immediately. So that would be probably the highest priority in terms of what Pakistan needs to be start doing. Of course, the World Cup is the biggest campaign. The biggest issue that we faced in the past is that Pakistan is the only country in Asia. AFC has about 46 member countries, and we are the only country in Asia that has never won a World Cup qualifier. So we need to start preparing for it, and because the format is as such that only when you have the format starting, the lowest 12 countries in Asia, they start playing against each other in a pre-qualifier situation. Now, whoever wins then goes on to the group stage, which is the second round, and there's the third round, and ultimately the third round gets direct slots, and there's also a fourth round where you have a playoff. Now, if AFC, which is expected, they are going to keep the same format, Pakistan is going to be in the last 12 countries of Asia, courtesy of our ranking. And the other issue is that because our ranking is so low, there is no mathematical way to actually get up those ranking points and be out of this last 12. So we are going to be playing a pre-qualifier in any situation. We need to make sure that our team is prepared, because what this qualifier does is it's a combination for the World Cup and the Asian Cup at the same time. And when you get to the group stage, you are playing four home matches, four away matches, and you could possibly be playing against the likes of Australia and South Korea. So that's an amazing exposure for a team like Pakistan. And so this needs to be sorted out as the highest priority. But apart from that, there's a SAF championship for the men's team next year. And there are a number of tournaments, including the under 15 men's championship here this year. There's the women's SAF championship. There's the Asian Games. There's the both youth groups for the women's SAF championship. So a lot of opportunities for Pakistan to get back on the stage. And as I mentioned, with so many different tournaments, you're going to need to field multiple teams, have multiple coaching staff. So it's an interesting position to be in, and Pakistan can really get back onto the international circuit this year, provided we are able to get the ban lifted.
Well, definitely. Sabeel, I hope that wraps up the entire scenario. And,
I
that's
think
what
it's very important people should know that we've actually got matches we can play very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got the calendar in front of me, and I'll just read it out. In September this year, you've got the 19th Asian Games for under 23, that men's and women's both. Then you've got a Shantu Asian Youth Game. Then you've got an AFC Asian Cup for under 17, under 20. These are the qualifiers. Then you've got the SAF Women Championship for under 18, which obviously you missed. It was in March in India. You're not going to be playing that. Under 20 Championship for men's in July. Women's Championship, under 15, under 17 Championship for boys as well. And then, of course, FIFA days from 1st to 15th.
We just need to get teams organized for tournaments like that. There is football out there. We just need to be organized enough to go get it. I think Shah Rukh's approach is a lot more positive. Obviously, he disagrees with me. I'm far more negative about the situation at home. And I think it'll be people like him who change this eventually as well. So
there can be people like Sabeel as well. They're making a difference in Scotland. Why not in Pakistan? So I think some of these people we need to hijack and keep them in Pakistan. But I think that does wrap it up. Sabeel, thank you so much for being on the show. Shah Rukh Sohail, thank you so much for being on the show and elaborating this further for our viewers in a positive manner.
All right, thank you so much. Take care.
Right, and of course, before we go, and this entire scenario, I think at the same time, people need to be recognized who've made an effort. We did, of course, have constructive criticism on a lot of people involved, including a lot of departments who could have made a difference. And I think for once, I would like to applaud the role of the Federal Minister for Inter-Provincial Coordination, Dr. Fahmida Mirza, for staying put, for believing in Pakistan football, for showing a lot of resilience to stand with the Normalization Committee and Haroon Malik, and defending this FIFA sanctioned Normalization Committee. And of course, I think that sets the bar very high as to what the Ministry for IPC and the government has been doing in terms of normalizing this situation for the future of Pakistan football. So I think a lot of credit to you, Dr. Fahmida Mirza, the Ministry of IPC, everybody involved, and also Mr. Haroon Malik, the Chairman of the Normalization Committee as well. Well, before we go, we're of course going to give you a report about the Olympics, the Winter Olympics that are underway in Beijing in China. So we'll leave you with that report. But from me and the entire team, it's goodbye for now.
The Beijing Winter Olympics are highlighting innovation in the form of new construction standards, from water and energy efficiency to building insulation and cooling technologies across venues. As the world's first dual Olympic city, except the newly built National Speed Skating Oval and Big Air Shogang, All other venues in Beijing are legacies from the 2008 Olympics. 9 ice rinks in 7 venues for Beijing 2022 all adopted environment-friendly refrigerants, while carbon dioxide ice-making technology is used at the National Speed Skating Oval, Capital Gymnasium and Wukasong Sports Center. After the Winter Games, the National Speed Skating Oval, namely the Ice Ribbon, will serve as an ice and snow sports center, integrating multiple functions of sports competition, public fitness and cultural recreation. The stadium is designed for a 100-year life after the Winter Olympics. The China Media Group's first self-developed ultra-high-speed 4K orbital camera system with a maximum speed of 90 km per hour provides the audience every wonderful moment during the Olympic Winter Games. Meanwhile, dozens of universities and research institutes joined the science and technology plan of the Beijing 2022 Olympic Winter Games. Tsinghua University designed and produced the Intelligent Heating System, and Beijing Institute of Technology designed and produced the Intelligent Training System. Chinese science and technology and Made in China have become an important boost to the development of ice and snow sports. The ongoing Winter Games in Beijing once again has proven that Beijing is the right choice for the 2022 Winter Olympic Games. Shahid Afraz Khan, Beijing.